Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have Alex, the CEO of Currys, with me over here to discuss a panel on closing the loop, how circularity drives profit and sustainability. Specifically, we want to talk about e-commerce and how we will be dealing in the future and currently with the burgeoning amount of consumer waste in the technology sector. Alex is someone who has dealt a lot with that question. Can you say a couple of words about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the nitty-gritty of our topic.
Thanks, Eddie. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alex Baldock, as Eddie says, Chief Executive of Currys. We're the market-leading Northern European technology retailer and services provider. We serve about 80% of UK households.
Right. So by some estimates, e-waste is the fastest growing waste stream on the planet. What do you think is the fundamental issue over there? Is it something that is inevitable, as we all desire new iPhones and new computers? Is this just how things have to be? Or is there something that producers and retailers like yourself can do to reduce that e-waste growth?
It's certainly a problem. It's certainly not inevitable. So, I mean, the problem is as you say, it is the fastest growing branch of e-waste. I think the estimates are it's going to get to 82 million tons of e-waste by 2030, which is up 30-odd% over where it is today. And I'm afraid we in the UK are particular laggards. We recycle just under 30% of our technology. We've got a big business in Norway, and by comparison, the Scandies do 74% of theirs. So it's a big growing problem where the UK is a laggard. I mean, you ask what's behind it and is it inevitable? I mean, what's behind it, I suppose you could say, is it's awareness, trust, and bad actors. I mean, on the awareness front, a lot of consumers simply don't know what to do with their old tech, and it's on people like me to get the word, which we can come on to get the word out about what they can do about that. Trust. A lot of people are concerned about data security, about their personal information. And that explains why, by some estimates, there are, and I actually didn't believe this number when I first heard it, but I'm assured it's true. There are 580 million electrical devices being hoarded in people's houses in the UK that are not being used. Electrical devices, 580 million. And a big bunch of that is because people just don't want to take it, they don't trust that their data will be secure if they take it somewhere else. And bad actors, I mean, I'm afraid there are some of those around. I mean, there's some people who manufacture some really shoddy, effectively disposable electricals and who sell it. Take about the darker recesses of Amazon. I'm afraid Temu have got a lot to answer for in this space. And so it's a combination of those things. But inevitable, absolutely not. And I hope we can come on to that.
Well, let's start the other way around. Let's start with the bad actors. Where does the designing of a product and sustainability really meet? Is it at the stage of Apple making their next iPhone more sustainable, where we need to really tackle the issue? Or is there some other step in the process, perhaps closer to where you guys are?
I think it's through the chain. So, I mean, first of all, high quality goods are a good start. And, maybe we'll get on to talk about the right to repair and similar legislation. And there are responsible manufacturers out there. We do a lot of work with Microsoft, for example, and we're their first licensed repairer of Surface laptops and Xboxes in Europe. And they go out of their way to make the modularity of the design relatively easy to repair, for example. They're very good on availability of spare parts. And there are increasing numbers of manufacturers are more and more receptive to their products being refurbished and sold, reused and sold secondhand. Not out of altruism, because I mean, Apple, for example, figure it's better for a 16-year-old getting their first phone to get on the iOS ecosystem,
yes.
Even if they can't afford a new iPhone 16. It's better that they get a refurbed one. So I mean, there's as so often sort of self-interest and the planet's interests can coincide here, and they need to. But anyway, you ask about what needs to change. I mean, so people manufacturing decent quality products with a certain level of durability, but then you can't have a sell and forget model in the way that I'm afraid the likes of Amazon do.
Right.
And we forgive the plug, but we at Currys take our responsibilities seriously, but we also see very good business there. Purpose and profit have to go hand in hand here, and for us they do. And so if we've built out a 12 million strong repair customer base. I mean, if we account for 44% of all waste electrical recycling in the UK, and if we do a lot of refurbished product sales, it's not just because we're lovely people, it's because there's good business in it as well.
There's good business. Well, this seems to be the big divide, right? Do you try to align the business objectives with the sustainability ones? At which point of the, value chain do you do that? Manufacturing or retail? Or is the other big player on the playground, regulators, the way to go? What is your take on this? Would you rather have regulation press producers, for instance, in terms of right to repair and so on? Or is it better that retailers such as Currys actually take that role?
I think look, there's a place for responsible regulation and proportionate regulation, of course, but I suppose it's on people like me to make that as minimal as can be, simply because the need for regulation to intervene to get to happy societal outcomes is minimized.
Right.
So, I mean, if for example, if we are doing more and more recycling, if we are repairing more and more technology, if we are helping use our heft with the manufacturers to influence the design of product to make sure it's more durable, if we're giving more technology longer life, then I would hope the regulators got less to worry about. But clearly there's a space for regulation against bad actors. And one of the things that you might not get too many chief executives coming up here to seek greater regulatory scrutiny, but one of the good things I think that this government is introducing is a level of regulation to make sell and forget a very difficult business model.
Right.
And those of us who've got big repair and after-sales operations, as we have, we've invested to build Europe's largest technology repair centre with 1,100 colleagues processing 3 million bits of kit a year up in Nottinghamshire. Well, we've invested in that. Again, not just out of the goodness of our heart, but because it's good business.
It's good business.
The right thing to do.
Yeah.
People like Amazon don't bother with that, and they're going to have to.
Right. Well, then let's find the balance there, right? So the regulators enable you to do something by, for instance, requiring the right to repair laws. And then you guys come. And you mentioned this government, I assume you mean the Labour government in the UK, is now doing quite a bit in that front. But the multinationals that you're ultimately dealing with in terms of the producers are scattered across the world. What do you think should be the higher picture change the world needs to see for more e-waste recycling?
I think there's always going to be a place for new technology. I mean, let's not pretend this is going to be a sort of a solely and perfectly circular world.
Yeah.
And as you point out, that technology comes from global giants with manufacturing, at least for the moment, pre-tariffs, manufacturing operations spread throughout the globe. And our big partners are people like HP and Samsung and Dyson and Google and Microsoft and the likes. So, one UK regulator is going to have a certain amount of sway over that, but not perfect. Where the UK regulator can hold sway is in the retail of goods. If you want access to UK consumers, if you want access to UK markets, you need to be a responsible provider.
Yeah.
And that principally is going to come via the retailers, which is why we welcome the idea of for example, compulsory levels of recycling targets. We welcome the idea that if you sell something, you have a responsibility to at least provide for its repair, particularly given when we're talking about technology, we're talking about kit that has such a high e-waste footprint. So, we welcome that. And of course, that plays to our strengths as well. So commercially, that's going to work out well for us too.
Well, this side of the equation seems very fine then, if retailers can actually build a good business model around recycling. But let's turn to the first question that we raised, which is the other side of the equation. How do consumers actually feel about recycled, or rather circular technology? What is the awareness raising moment that you talked about earlier? What needs to be done?
How do they feel about it first? I mean, you ask. I mean, I suppose it's never a good idea to ask a consumer to trade off their pocket against the planet.
Right.
Is the first thing I would say. I mean, in an ideal world, you're helping. Speaking as a business manager, I mean, you look after three things. I mean, you look after your own profits. Clearly, I have those responsibilities, but you look after customers' pockets and the planet, and all three at once.
Ideally.
It has to be at once. I mean, purpose and profit have to go hand in hand. One of the reasons you can believe that businesses like Currys are going to carry on having such a positive impact on the environment is because we make money doing it. So why wouldn't we? And the same is true for consumers. And if, for example, we're helping them get their hands on a new iPhone 16 Pro 256 gig titanium for 30% off the list price because it's an as new quality refurb as you can find on the Currys website today. Just saying.
Okay, someone's looking for a new phone.
And that's good for everybody, right? The customer gets a fantastic bit of kit with the Currys guarantee behind it. It's 12 months guaranteed, same as a new product. We make, actually, whisper it, more margin selling a refurbed iPhone than we do selling a new one. And the planet's better because there's not the old one hasn't ended up in a landfill, and we haven't needed a new one. So that's a good example of all three things working in tandem. And we're not ashamed about the fact that you asked before about ESG isn't some adjunct off to the side. It's not some greenwashing thing that we roll out when it's annual report publication time. Circular is intrinsic to our business, and why wouldn't it be? Once we get a customer in the circle, it's kind of hard for a competitor to break in.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's good for all concerned.
It sounds great, but I think it's still true that not all consumers go for these recycled iPhone 16s.
No, they don't, and there's a few reasons for that. I mean, and first of all, people like me aren't doing a good enough job. That's the start of it.
And what is the job? What needs to happen?
The job is raising awareness, first of all, and second is building trust, and third is providing value. So at the moment, Currys is not famous enough for providing refurb tech. We've built this amazing facility up in Newark with 1,100 colleagues processing 3 million bits of kit a year. It's Europe's largest technology repair center, and almost nobody knows about it, and that's my fault. And on refurbed tech, I won't be happy until we're a destination for customers to come and buy refurbed tech. I won't be happy until we've really nailed the value. I mean, 26% off the iPhone titanium 16 Pros is a good start, but I think we can do better. And as we build scale, so it feeds itself and the economics get better, and we can provide ever better value. I think we need to breed trust, and that's where brands like Currys come in, because the customers will trust that they can buy a second-hand bit of kit and it's not going to fall apart before they even get it home.
Right.
And we'll stand behind the warranty and the promise, and so anything goes wrong, they can bring it back and we'll sort it out for them. So we definitely need to do all of those things, and we have our work cut out because over half of UK consumers say that they're not interested on principle in buying a second-hand mobile phone, for example. That's what we need to work on.
And you say this is your sort of urgent task right now. What are the actionable things that we're doing? How do you change mindsets so drastically that really you have far less demand for new phones? And is this actually going to hurt the ability to recycle those if no one really goes to Apple now?
Yeah, I mean, you raise an interesting point. I mean, on a philosophical level, I don't worry about cannibalizing myself.
Right.
Because we start from the point of view that the customer demand is going to be what it is. You can help shape it as a big incumbent market leader like us, but if the customer wants inexpensive and environmentally friendly second-hand goods, then they're going to find it somewhere. So I'd rather they found it from us than somewhere else. So as long as the customer demand is there, we can serve it better than the competition can because of the after-sales capabilities that I've talked about in repair, refurb, recycle, trade-in. And we can make money doing it. As long as all three of those things are true, then I'll worry later about the cannibalization of the new sales. And in any case, the biggest problem there used to be the brands, be the manufacturers, who were not enthusiastic about their new product sales being substituted for by refurbs. For reasons I've talked about, that's changed now. So, and we're getting them on board. So, what you ask about what the actions will be. I mean, the actions are pretty basic, really. Just as we are a famous destination for new iPhones or laptops or washing machines or TVs, so I want to be a famous destination for pre-loved. I want to be as famous for giving longer life to the tech that people already have as I am for selling them lots of shiny new kit. And then when they come to our channels, to our stores or to our online, I want them to find spectacular value. That's almost unturndownable. And then the next time they come, the next repair, because we're harvesting parts, because it feeds on itself. The more people we get into the circle, the better value it is for everyone in it. I mean, it's one of those happy self-feeding mechanisms. Then it's good for us commercially as well. So everyone wins.
It seems like it's a ready case that people will come for the cheaper prices, but also for the sort of ethical aspect of just buying refurbished. Now I want to turn to the audience. You can tell us whether you want to buy a new iPhone that has been recycled, but also have a very sharp question, please, for Alex. We'll take 2 or 3. Please, lady over here, please.
I would buy, no problem at all. Big fan. I'm Isabel Dvan at the Carbon Trust. Can I just ask a really silly question, but I don't know the answer. Are you also bound in extended producer responsibility when you're reselling refurb kit?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you handle that with the manufacturers? I mean, how do you actually work on sorting that out?
The really short answer is it's much less of an issue for us than it is for suppliers in other categories.
Okay.
Just perhaps the lady just behind.
Sorry, Tanya Larson, question 0. Been working on voucher code websites for quite some time. I can clearly see that AO.com, for example, is ahead of Currys at some point because of marginal, I don't know, 50 pounds difference and so on and so on.
Right. Yeah.
So the iPhone thing is a good example, but I think the mentality of iPhone and higher tech, because it's Apple, is okay to buy secondhand. How about the white goods that are cheaply produced, disposable? There is no mentality of repair washing machine or anything like that. So to me, it's like a bit of like a fast fashion analogy. And I think a lot of it comes with education of consumers, like why buying Electrolux, for example, is better than buying whatever, right? That 300 pounds comes off and so on. So this is a question of price versus education. How
Yes.
do you address it?
I mean, the first, you wouldn't expect me to let your reference to AO go past without pointing out that they've got sort of low single digits market share compared to our market leading 26%. But anyway, I'll move on from that. But I think you talk about the comparison between fast and disposable fashion and this. I mean, the big difference, obviously, is that what we sell tends to be quite big ticket stuff. I mean, buying a washing machine, a TV, a mobile phone, or a laptop is not an impulse buy. For many consumers, for most consumers, these are big ticket, considered purchases, quite high stakes purchases, which are entirely different from buying a Bangladeshi manufactured T-shirt from Primark. And so in one sense, the consumer is that you have their attention, and if you can offer them a responsible alternative to what is going to be an expensive new product, and you can offer them 20, 30, potentially even 40% off that, and you can stand behind it with a really credible 12-month warranty guarantee, which very few people are going to be able to do because they're not going to be able to do it economically because they don't have the after-sales capability that we have. AO don't have that either, since you mentioned them. So it's for those reasons that what comes together is the nature of our category, the demand that consumers have got, and the unique competitive assets that a market leader like us has. You put all of those things together, I think we're going to end up in a much better place.
That's great. We don't have time for more audience questions, and we need to let Alex go. But we have 3 panelists joining us to discuss the broader issues that circularity faces across more industries, and we'll be able to take more questions then. For now, let's please applaud Alex for his time. Thank you very much.